Now, have a listen to this. That's a Chinese television public service advert asking people to think about who's going to look after them as they age. The ending of the one-child policy nearly 4 years ago was aimed at slowing the pace of an ageing society. But now new research suggests that the age of China's population is actually rising at a much faster rate than previously thought. Our China media analyst Kerry Allen told us about the new data.
Currently, China has more than 249 million people over the age of 60, and that's about 17% of the population. But there have been some statistics released by China's Office of the National Working Committee on Aging, which is an official body, which said that China's ageing society is getting much worse. So the situation that we knew of previously was that by 2050, a quarter of the population, that's 487 million Chinese people, would be in their 60s. Now they're saying it's going to happen much earlier. They're saying that it's going to happen by 2035. And by 2050, a third of China's population are going to be over 60.
And how much of this is the consequence of that one-child policy? Because it's only relatively recently that that's been relaxed.
It very much is a huge factor. Back in 1979, when the one-child policy was introduced, it was still favoured that people would have a male child. There was a lot of femicide that happened. So the situation was that there were way more male children than there were female children. And the children who were born in the 80s and 90s and the noughties, they've now grown up and they're trying to meet partners. And as well as the fact that their parents are getting older and they're retiring and there's fewer children to look after them, because there's fewer children at that generation, there's also a situation where the new generation are unable to meet partners because there's way more, millions more men than there are women. So a lot of Chinese people who were born in the 80s and 90s and who are in their 20s and 30s, they're now at a situation where they're thinking in the future they have to look after both their elderly parents, but also there's pressure from the government for them to have children as well.
Now, you say there's pressure, but there is also an element of reluctance, isn't there, among women of childbearing age to have more than one, because it's not particularly parentally friendly, is it?
No, not at all, no. And the government has had pressure from grassroots to really improve circumstances for women, but in China's government, it's still largely male-dominated. And a lot of women nowadays, they want the same opportunities as men. They want to continue into long-term education or to seek careers. It's not the case that they want to have children as soon as they come out of school, which used to be the case. So a lot of women are choosing to stay in employment or pursue further education rather than start having children straight away.
That was Kerry Allen, our China media analyst.